There are loved ones in the glory whose dear forms you often miss. When you close your earthly story, will you join them in their bliss? Will the circle be unbroken by and by, by and by? Is a better home awaiting in the sky, in the sky?
Bob! Do something!
First off, bitch, I'm A through the genital. Semi-automatic, cause I'm sleeping with the demon dog. Finest of the blades, lay hands on my back, yeah. Really, it don't matter what you better on my side, you know. Yeah, crumb, pace, broke, stays on my low lace. Flipping my states till my dick breaks. Shadow clones, running on the blood lakes. What you say? I take my blade with.
Today we're not going to be talking about Brigitte, again. Sorry about that. I've been thinking, which is usually a bad idea. Looking at my career profile, it's very clear that I favor characters that reward lots of game sense and aim mechanics. So what I'm trying to say is, I like playing characters that aren't Hanzo. I ended up gravitating towards Reinhardt because he requires a lot of game sense. Much like other people, I also played Cassidy a lot because that required a lot of aim mechanics. And to me, Ana's the perfect blend of aiming mechanics and game sense. And then because Blizzard probably watched my Hanzo video, they nerfed all of my mains. The Cassidy nerf was a very understandable decision, especially if they're going to replace it with a different ability, but the other ones were just hurtful in my opinion, felt very personal. So what now? All of my mains have been nerfed, I kind of want to find a new character to play. But more specifically, a DPS. One that relies on aim mechanics. But not Widowmaker, that's for a different video. Dealing a nice 75 damage to the body and a massive 150 damage to the head, Ashe is no joke. Now that Cassidy lost his flashbang, Tracer's next big immediate threat, in my opinion, is a well-placed bullet to the head, delivered straight from Ashe. Because Ashe does 75 damage a body shot, that means you only have to shoot Tracer twice. I'm not saying Tracer's a free kill, she's still really difficult to hit, especially when she's using her abilities. But because Ashe has 12 shots in her gun, she's a ticking time bomb until she lands those killing blows. And those 12 shots can come in really handy. I'm sure all the Ashe mains know what I'm talking about. If you're a part of the Ashe community like me, then you know we like to do a little thing called warning shots, where we purposely miss and then kill the enemy. As we all know, Overwatch is a psychological horror game, so what we need to do is get into the enemy's head. While the enemy is trying their hardest to survive and trying to kill you, I'm purposely missing my shots, toying with them and making them feel dumb. So I think I speak for all Ashe mains when I say this. Stop flaming us in chat because we're missing all of our shots. We're doing it on purpose because it would be too boring otherwise. Ashe can also hold her ground really well in a long range fight. Because of those 12 shots Ashe has, she can do a constant amount of pressure while doing very good amounts of damage. With that being said, you're still no match for a decent Widowmaker even if you're good at Ashe. I think my favorite thing about Ashe's primary fire is that it has a rhythm to it. Even if I'm wasting my shots just shooting a Reinhardt shield, it's still really fun just to continuously shoot without needing to line up the shot. The Overwatch team did a really good job at making Ashe's gunplay feel really fluid and fun. When you're hip firing with Ashe, it doesn't feel very fluid or fun, and that's probably because I used to think of it as Cassidy's Fan the Hammer. My thought process behind that ability is just use your primary fire and hit your shots so you won't have to fan the hammer. And this is how I viewed Ashe's hip fire. Why would I ever need to fan the hammer or hip fire if I just hit all of my shots, especially if they're walking directly in front of you? So for the purpose of making this video, I decided to do nothing but hip fire for a while and see what I could do, because there has to be more to this ability than just finishing off a low HP enemy. The first thing I realized was how quickly you chew through your 12 shots, and how often I had to reload in between my shots. This is normally something you notice pretty early on when you start playing Ashe, but it's even more punishing if you're hip firing only. I also started to use the hip fire's bloom a lot more to my advantage. If you didn't know, Ashe's first shot when she hip fires is 100% accurate, but the accuracy gets worse and worse the more you fire. But because I was doing nothing but hip firing, I kind of got into a weird burst fire mechanic. I realized shooting 1 to 3 shots was actually accurate enough to do damage at medium to long-ish range. This inspired me to stop spamming and wasting all of my shots and actually try and aim with the hip fire, which goes against nearly every reaction when you first use the ability. And because of this, I noticed a reoccurring pattern. I was winning fights that I would normally lose. And that's when I started to understand what makes the hip fire really good. No one has ever really fought an Ashe that only hip fires. A big part of getting good at Overwatch is understanding the movement animations for certain characters. Ashe and Widowmaker become the most predictable characters when it comes to lining up shots when they're scoped in because of how slowly they move. And by removing that aspect of Ashe, she becomes a lot more powerful simply by just not getting hit as much. The coach gun is a very strange case. It's one of the only situations ever where you can say a shotgun isn't efficient at killing enemies. Not only can you not do critical hit damage, it only does 90 damage if you somehow land all 15 pellets. The only times I find myself actively trying to kill an enemy with a shotgun is if it's a big enemy with a big hitbox and low HP. And besides that, I never really find a reason to use the shotgun to kill anyone, especially if it's a small squishy target which is really hard to hit. You can normally kill those type of heroes if they're really low HP already. The coach gun truly shines when it interacts with its environment. Whether it's something as small as stealing someone else's environmental kill, or something as big as pushing back a blading Genji and saving your teammate. Whatever it may be, the coach gun thrives on interacting with its environment. Forcing an enemy to stay airborne, giving them a very predictable movement pattern is very helpful. Quickly repositioning yourself into a better angle so you can finish off a low HP target is also very helpful. The coach gun allows you to attack from different angles that the enemy won't expect. Like I said before, a massive part of getting good at Overwatch is to understand and learn the way characters move. But Ashe's coach gun makes her very unpredictable. The last thing an Ana's gonna expect is an Ashe flying directly above her, especially when she's so accustomed to Ashe players sitting far away in the backlines. Whether it's finishing off a low HP enemy with your shotgun, repositioning yourself so you can chase down an enemy who is trying to escape, or creating some space between you and a dangerous enemy who would have killed you otherwise. I think it's safe to say that Ashe's coach gun might be one of the best abilities in Overwatch. Not only is it fun and effective, but it's also not overbearing and annoying to deal with. When you play enough Ashe, you'll start to notice some of her biggest weaknesses, and both of these weaknesses get solved by her dynamite. The first weakness I'm talking about is Ashe's ability to stay in the fight. Ashe is amazing at putting constant pressure because she has 12 bullets, but she has to reload those 12 bullets individually. This means she goes from one of the best characters in the game to put consistent pressure on the enemies to one of the worst enemies in the game because she has to reload for 10 years. And this is where the dynamite comes in really handy, because it negates the downtime of the reload. And then if you cycle through your abilities properly, that means Ashe is always doing something. Whether it's repositioning with coach gun, shooting, reloading but enemies are on fire, she's always doing something and contributing. Ashe's next big problem is that she can't really do much if the enemy team is holding close and you can't make any space. This is where the dynamite comes in helpful again, because you can go on a flank route or an off angle and burn the entire team. All it takes is a big dynamite and some good map knowledge for you to make more space than your tank ever could. The footage you're watching now just shows how powerful that is. If I didn't go on this off angle and hit that massive dynamite, my team would have been stuck and not been able to push because their Reinhardt was holding so close. So normally what would be Ashe's biggest weakness, which is close range fights because she doesn't have enough space to hit shots, becomes one of her greatest strengths, which is being able to hit everyone with her dynamite, creating a lot of space. If you remember at the start of this video, I talked about how I wanted to find a new DPS character to play because my main, which was Cassidy, got nerfed pretty heavily. And now the question is Ashe going to be my new DPS main? Well, I'm going to answer that by saying she's a very good contender. A lot of the DPS characters in Overwatch 2 work and feel a lot more differently than they did in Overwatch 1, so I'm kind of re-evaluating everything and just the way I think of DPS. I think it's safe to say, besides Hanzo, who I still think is the same as Overwatch 1, which is just really f***ing annoying and unfair, you know, Blah blah blah, I already said in my video, if you like Hanzo, play Hanzo, whatever, I just think he's annoying. But besides him, everyone works really differently, especially Cassidy, because he's just trash, he's useless. And that's where the idea of this video came in, because I made that whole video about why Cassidy's bad and how he's outdated and doesn't work. Because he lost his flashbang and it's been replaced with a now nerfed grenade that locks onto the enemy wall, he's just been reduced down to a character that shoots. And if all you're gonna do as Cassidy is shoot, you might as well do that as Ashe, because you'll be just more efficient, more useful with it.
Fucking on tag. Soldier dead.
Can you hit the Hanzo for me, King?
Yep.
Ooh.
Oh my.
Oh, I forgot about Bob. Use Ashe's Deadlock skin if you want the best looking Bob. If you're upset that there's no Italian heroes in the game, use the Mobster skin. Use the Poolside skin if you ship Robin and Frankie. I ship Robin and Frankie. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new or coming back, thank you so much. This is the end of the Overwatch portion of the video, and now I'm just going to be ranting for a bit. So if you don't care, feel free to leave. Thank you so much for coming by. So it's been a bit interesting with the Overwatch news, such as the part that we're all waiting for and like investing got taken away. You know, the cool skill trees and stuff like that. That's gone. That's a cool. That's some cool news, right? But I'm not gonna go talk about that because I'm sure you've seen your favorite YouTuber or streamer talk about it before, right? But all I'm going to say is that there's always going to be good in a bad situation, and the good in this situation is definitely not the roadmap. That was really disappointing. But the good in this situation is I have a lot more motivation to improve my content now, because before I was very like insecure about the quality of content that you guys were watching when it was coming from me. And now that there's not a lot of good content coming from Blizzard themselves, I really want the people that are invested in the Overwatch community, like you guys who watch me, to be entertained, right? To me, it's like a circle, right? Everyone needs to be playing their part when it comes to like content creators, people that play the game, and Blizzard, right? Blizzard is really dropping the ball, and I kind of want to pick up on that, right? So you guys can enjoy it. And then if you enjoy it, that makes me enjoy the video process more. Basically, I put my part in, and then everyone's happy because then you guys are happy, and then the Overwatch community is happy. I don't fucking know. Maybe I'm just a wishful thinking, but I'm really inspired to do just a lot better. And I mean a lot better, like a lot better. I know I've just said that for like a million times before, right? But even if it's just by 1% each video, I just want to try, add something, you know, new, something difficult, blah blah blah, and I want to make it better for you guys, because you guys are the driving force of not only Overwatch. You need to understand, like, I say you guys are important because obviously no one is without you guys, whether it's Twitch streamers or YouTubers, but also just the Overwatch community. Without you, there's no community, right? So just need you guys to be happy and entertained, and as a content creator for Overwatch, I'm inspired to just make better content for you guys to watch, and that's what my thought process is. Very disappointing with the PvE news, very disappointing, but on the upside, I'm even more motivated to make better quality stuff, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you for being patient and watching my stuff.